So in several of the videos that I've made on the channel about how to get started in coding or in data science, I usually recommend to choose a data problem that interests and resonates with you. And probably one of the best ways is to collect your own data. And you could do that either manually or automatically using web scraping. And for this, I choose BrightData for its web scraping IDE platform and also for its large network infrastructure. And so at first glance, you might see that BrightData might have only tools revolving around data collection, but under the hood, it also provides this large proxy network that automatically performs and handles different IPs that are used during web scraping. Because oftentimes when you're performing web scraping, when you're doing it locally, what happens is that your IP might get blocked. And when it is blocked, you won't have access to the data because you can't access the website. And since, for example, I'm living here in Thailand and some websites could not be accessed because they blocked IPs outside of, for example, the United States. So a platform like BrightData, which handles all of the proxy network for you, as well as providing a IDE framework for you to perform web scraping, is probably a good choice to start with. And so I'm going to use that in this particular tutorial. And so let's dive in. Before proceeding further, let's take a look at the conceptual overview of the data project. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to go to YouTube and then we're going to search for data science. And then from the search results, we're going to extract all of the YouTube channels. And then for each of the YouTube channel, we're going to go to the About page. And then we're going to perform web scraping on that. So you're going to notice that we're going to take the name of the YouTube channel, the subscriber count, the video count, the view count, and also the About section, as well as the join date, and also the channel ID. And now we're going to take a closer look at the tech stack. So at a high level, you're going to see that there's two main sections. In the first section, we're going to perform web scraping with BrightData. And in the second section, we're going to take the web scraped data and then perform data analysis as well as coding the Streamlit web app. Let's hover back to the first part. Before we could perform the actual web scraping, we're going to code the JS scripts, and this will essentially comprise of the interaction component and also the parser component. Once we have the JS scripts ready, we're going to paste in the data into the web scraper IDE on the BrightData platform, which will allow us to perform the actual web scraping, whereby we're going to extract information from the YouTube website. And then we're going to put the web scrape data in JSON format. In the second phase, we're going to take the JSON data as an input, and then we're going to code a Streamlit web app in order to perform data processing, which will then be used to create the data visualization using the Altair library. And then we'll add input widgets into the web app in order to allow the user to customize the data visualization to their own preference. When we're happy with the app, we're going to push it to the GitHub repo, and then we're going to deploy it. And in this project, we're using the Streamlit Community Cloud, which will allow us to freely host the Streamlit web app. And all of the URL to the GitHub repo and also the Streamlit web app is provided in the video description. And so before I show you how to actually build the project, let me show you first how it will look like at the end of the project. So this is the project folder. So we have here the JSON data web scraped from the BrightData platform, and then we have the Streamlit app.py, which contains the Streamlit app for visualizing data inside the JSON file. So you can see here that we have about 85 lines of code that you could use to build this particular web application. And so let me run this. First, let me activate the environment. Let me make sure that I'm in the current directory. Okay, I'm in this particular YouTube data directory, and then I'm going to run the app, Streamlit run, and then Streamlit app.py. And in a few moments, a web browser will load up. Alright, so this is the web app that we're going to build today. So it is a YouTube channel data analytics app. So to be more exact, it analyzes topics of your choice. So in this particular tutorial, we're focusing on YouTube channels that are having the keyword of data science. And so this simple app will allow you to choose the variable that will go on the x-axis as we visualize the data, and then choosing the variable that will go to the y-axis as well. And then depending on what you have chosen here, it will update the various variable minimum and maximum value as a range slider. So you could adjust the value and then you'll be able to see an updated data. Okay. And you'll notice here at the bottom, there's a corresponding data frame or the data that are underlying the visualization that you see. So each of the points here are one row entry in the data frame here. Okay, so you can see that this is a very simple application, and I created this as a template that you could use for building on top of this particular template app. And so let me know in the comment section how you extended this particular application for your own project. And so now that we have taken a quick look at what the end outcome will look like, let's start from the beginning. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to sign up for BrightData, and I'll provide you the link in the video description. Alright, so let's have a look at the BrightData platform. Let's log in. I'll just head over to my dashboard since I'm already logged in, and you can see the proxy infrastructure here, and then you can see the data sets that I've mentioned and the web scraper. So these are the data products or data that has already been web scraped. So if you have no coding background, no problem, because you could get access to web scraped data. And there's a lot of data for you to choose from. So you could check these out as well. And you can see here that I've already played around with the Amazon reviewed books. And let's dive into the scraper. So when I embarked upon this data project to perform web scraping, the first thought that came to mind was to web scrape data from the YouTube platform. And when BrightData reached out, I thought it would be a great opportunity to create a video showing the thought process and how I went about building this data project. And so let's have a look here briefly. So you can see that these are those scrapers that I've worked on. So if you click on it, you're going to see that it expands and then it provides you with the details of your task that you have already performed. So let's take a look inside the scraper. So you can see here that there are two major code blocks. There's the interaction code and there's the parser code. So in the interaction code, it is where the scraper will perform the actual task of hopping over to the website that you want to perform web scraping, and then it will perform the scraping. And after it performs scraping of the data, it will have to parse the data. So the instructions for these two tasks will be provided in the two respective windows. And you'll notice here that we perform web scraping in 3 successive. And so you can see here that for this project, I performed web scraping in 3 successive steps in stage 1, 2, and 3. And at the bottom here, I specified the input for searching YouTube to be data science. So all of the search results that have YouTube channels with the keyword of data science will be retrieved into the search results, and then it will be web scraped. And then the preview window here will allow us to see the web scraping while it happens for the initial run. And after you're finished, you could say finish editing, or you could also save this to development if you have already modified the code. And so since I have already done that, I'll just skip over to the next phase, which is to perform the actual app building. So let's have a look at the data that we had already web scraped. So you'll notice here that this is a JSON file and the contents. So you'll notice that in the about of the YouTube channel from IBM, there's a keyword data science because the query is on channels with data science keywords. And then we have like their join date, the channel ID, the view count, the number of videos on the channel, the number of subscribers on the channel. And for example, this is from Data Professor YouTube channel. Join date, about, channel ID. And so all of this data will be analyzed using the Streamlit app that we have just created here. Alright, and so let's have a look under the hood into the code. So you can see here that the entire code for the web app takes less than 100 lines of code. So particularly only 85 lines of code. Let's have a look at the breakdown of the code. But before doing so, let's run the app. So in the command line, you could type in Streamlit run, and then the name of the app, which in our case is streamlit_app.py. Hit on enter, and then the app will appear in the browser, shown here. And so you can see here that in the first couple of lines, we're going to import the necessary libraries. We're using Streamlit as the low-code web framework for this entire project. And then we're using pandas in order to perform data wrangling, because we have to do a lot of data preparation in order to select particular columns that we'd like or perform some additional data filtering. And then we're using Altair to display the scatter plot that you see here in the app. We're using NumPy to perform some numerical processing, particularly in the roundup feature here that we've created, as well as the math library. And then we're using JSON library in order to import the data that we have web scraped. So you see here that lines number 9 into 11, we've created a custom function in order to perform a rounding up of the values that are shown here in the slider. And the lines 13 until 21, we use session state in order to save the selected data values from the select box drop-down menu here. So whenever we select a value here, particularly from the slider, you'll see that it will save into the memory, right? And then line 24, we're essentially just printing out a simple statement for our web app, which is the YouTube channel data analytics. Lines 28, 29, we're importing the JSON data, and then we're going to perform some additional data wrangling. 39 until 63, we're going to have this select box here where the user could select a different value here from this select box, and then they could select a different value from the slider, and then the scatter plot will be updated in real time. So under the hood, in order to do that, we have to perform some additional data wrangling, where when we select a different value from the slider here, it will be reflected because we perform additional data wrangling. And so let's have a look at line 67. Particularly 74 into 80, we're going to create this scatter plot using Altair. And it's a simple scatter plot where we define the color, and you can select another color that you like. And finally, we display the scatter plot here on line 82. And at 84, 85, we're creating this expandable data frame where it is the underlying data that are used for the scatter plot. And so that's it. In less than 100 lines of code, you could create this data-driven web application for your data project. So as you can see, this particular data project could be extended and built upon. For example, if you are a product marketer, you could use this particular web app to drive your influencer marketing campaigns. You could identify potential YouTubers to create content for your products. Or if you are a content creator, you could potentially use the app here to find potential collaborators for your channel, or even find potential viral topics that you could use to create your own videos on. And so the possibilities are endless. You could change the data set from YouTube data here and use other data like Instagram data, Glassdoor data, LinkedIn data, and then build your own custom data app. And so I'd love to hear from you how you're building upon this particular web app template. And so let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching until the end of the video, and I hope that this video was helpful to you. And let me know in the comments down below which future project that you would like me to work on. And while you're at it, please drop a star emoji so that I know that you're the real one. And it will mean the world to me if you could smash the like button, share the video to your friends, post it on social media, subscribe to the channel. And as always, the best way to learn data science is to web scrape your own data and analyze it. And please enjoy the journey.